When effort ceases, awareness moves into the foreground of consciousness. When it's the first time that you're experiencing that, you'd probably say, I had an awakening. That's exactly right. Unfortunately, we create beliefs about that, often at that point, which can get in the way. Belief and identity are necessary functions of the survival needs of a human organism. And this is really one I want to get more focused on, which is being identified as the source of all suffering. See, even as I said that, you opened more. I could feel it. Now, there's identification that's not a problem. There's egoic functioning and psychological functioning is not a problem. It really is, in a sense, I'll put this in quotes, where you're coming from, where your perspective is perceiving from, as it were. If it's being perceived from the separate self, then it's one thing. If it's being perceived from no self, as it were, from pure awareness, awareness of awareness is freedom, free of self, free of identity. And in those moments, awareness of awareness is connectedness. And in connectedness, we are free of the need to be secure. Because there isn't anything that needs to be secure. I don't know how to say it, but in that connectedness. That goes back to the hungry ghost thing that I was talking about with, I think, Joanne yesterday, which is this infant, which is the newborn that needs to be held, protected, and nourished. Basic human need, right? And so that's the human connectedness. And then it plays out for the rest of our life in all the ways that it does. That's fine. That's our nature. So we recognize those needs, those urges. We take care of them, and we live our life the best we can, chopping wood, carrying water, as it were. But when effort ceases and awareness naturally emerges into consciousness, and there's connectedness, which you might sense here already, that's a moment of freedom. And the more that becomes embodied, as it were, the less there's the clutching, the gripping, the struggle with what is. The other thing about identity is that we not only identify within ourselves, we identify outside of ourselves, which is projection. We project onto what we see, hear, and experience until we don't. And in those moments when you're not projecting, you're in harmony with life. You're actually connected and one with life. Just a funny side note, when Kenneth and I were working on my second book, I wanted the title to be Beyond Belief. I just love that title. And of course, you have to search for titles to make sure they're not already used, right? And so they found out that it already had been used. And it was the title of a book by a woman who had somehow escaped the Scientology cult and wrote a book about it. So we couldn't use beyond belief. But this is an interesting and important discussion from my perspective because, well, let me ask you this. Do you even know what you believe? And I would contend that most people don't even know what they believe. They're not conscious of it. It's unconscious, actually. It shows up in behavior, in choices, and values, and a lot of things. You almost have to reverse engineer your life to find out what your beliefs are. I mean, some of them you obviously will know, obviously, on the surface. And this is why therapy and other things that help you get in touch with yourself on lots of levels like that can help reveal how you're wound up into you as a person, right? And so what we do here, the thing about awareness and practice here is that it unwinds you in silence, in stillness, in effortless presence. And that's, well, you can see it brings up everything, it brings up stuff, it forces us to face ourselves in ways that, for all the reasons we don't, we can't help ourselves. On an unconscious survival level, we're really programmed AI robots made up of lots and lots and lots of little parts. So as you open here, as you deepen in retreat, as you get more conscious and aware, you'll maybe have aspects of yourself or conditioned traumas or whatever that will come up, or physical symptomology and so forth, physical, emotional, psychological. And then how we give attention to it, which is what I'm trying to show, can allow it to actually unwind, release, and then deepen this awareness and connectedness naturally. We're not doing that. It's a side effect, actually. It's the same as we don't make a tree grow. We might plant a sapling or whatever, and we might make sure it's in the right soil and the right exposure and all of that, and gets nourishment while it starts to develop its roots and starts to grow, but it grows by itself. And I think that's where it's important, and I know we talk about this in many ways from many angles, on what is our responsibility here to ourselves on retreat in a deep sense, and what isn't. What kind of burden are we carrying around that really is not only unnecessary, but actually, ironically, in the way of what we want? That's the ironic part. Noticing what your beliefs are that you may not know you have, the projections, which are the judgments, right? The conclusions, the analysis, the assessments, all of that is in the microscopic world of what's called knowing and being a knower, which is basically not reality. Reality is completely unknowable in the deep sense. And yet we are that. So stay out of your mind. It will be buzzing along. It will be bubbling in the background or the foreground or wherever. But keep coming out of that realm of mental machinations. And maybe ask yourself, especially when it's an obsessive loop of thinking, I wonder if there's something I'm not willing or don't want to feel right now. I don't want to be aware of in myself, in my body, in my emotional realm, in my history. future, or whatever. You turn towards that in yourself, the fear, the grief, the longing, the rage, the disappointment, the anticipation, whatever it is. Even the joy. People can clutch on to pleasure, say the least. And as you shift perspective, as you shift into being, into awareness, being here is effortless. It happens all by itself. And when that happens, if that happens, relax into that. Just rest in openness and being.